Hi there. Welcome to this week's Ask Amy. Today we're going to talk about insurance. Insurance as an objection and insurance as just a question. And I think sometimes it's really difficult for us to decipher what exactly that the patient's motivation is when they're talking about insurance. First of all, if you're like me, I used to assume that anytime the patient brought up the word insurance, that they were very insurance motivated, insurance driven, and that's how they were going to make their decisions. But what I found is the reality is most patients that bring up insurance are bringing it up simply to get information, and because quite frankly we've trained them to do that. How have we trained them, you ask? Well, if you're like me, again, the very first question I often used to ask patients, new patients over the phone, is do you have dental insurance? Because that's how we were trained. And so as a result, we've trained our patients to think along the lines of insurance. So first thing I would suggest is don't prejudge just because patients bring up insurance. Don't assume that's how they're going to make their decision. The second thing is let them bring it up. Don't be the first one to bring up insurance in the conversation, whether it be on the phone or in the office. Just let them bring it up. I promise you, if it's important to them, they will bring it up. Then the conversation is fair game. And so let's talk about how to handle that conversation. First and foremost, don't badmouth their insurance. Okay, patients are proud of their dental insurance. They're proud of their benefits. A lot of patients might be a little bit misinformed as to how their dental plan works, but let's not badmouth it and say things like, well, it only covers $1,000, and a lot of things your insurance will not cover. Let's be positive. Let's congratulate them. Hey, that's a great, thing that you have insurance. I'm happy for you. That's a portion of your investment that you're not going to have to worry about. You actually have a little bit of a supplement there, or what a great benefit. And so don't badmouth it, compliment them. See, it's not you and the insurance company and the patient all on opposite or different ends of the table. See, you're on the side of the table with the patient. You are their advocate. You are there to help them. The insurance company's over here. And what happens oftentimes is we become unpaid employees of the insurance company. We become all-knowing. We spend countless hours researching their insurance and calling and verifying benefits and doing all of these things. And I'm not necessarily saying that you shouldn't be aware and you shouldn't understand how their plan works, but don't be the information giver. Okay, you don't want to be the one on the end of answering the questions. And so when a patient says something like, what does my insurance cover? I think there are a lot of ways you can respond to that. Again, remember, don't give information, ask questions. So you might simply say, well, that's a great question. We work with a lot of different plans. It kind of depends on the plan that your employer chose. Do you know what your maximum is? Again, just in an effort to give them ownership for this, even if you know all the ins and outs of their plan, let's not go there. Give them a little bit of opportunity to own their insurance. And so they may say, well, I think it is $1,000, or I have no idea. If they do have an idea, say, fantastic, that's $1,000 you don't have to worry about. Now let's talk about the rest of your investment. Or if they don't have any idea, you might say, most patients have discovered that they have around $1,000 minus anything you might have already spent. So that's the good news, is you've got a little bit of a supplement to help you. So how would you like us to help you with the rest? Okay, see, what we get caught up in is assuming because they are asking that question that that's all they want to do. And that's what we need to be cautious of. I want you to assume that patients want everything they've asked for. Now, here's the caveat. Have you allowed them to ask for it, or have you told them what you think they need? And that's a video for another day, so stay tuned. But assuming that you have given them complete ownership and you have allowed them to come up with a plan based on what they're seeing in their photos and based on the questions that you're asking them, of course with your guidance, then they have ownership for this plan. And so when it comes down to these insurance questions and they say, what will my insurance cover? It will be a whole lot easier for you to say, well, that's a great question. At this point, we're not absolutely certain, but let me ask you this. Say there are some things that you were wanting to accomplish that maybe your particular plan doesn't cover at this point in time. How do you want to handle that? What if we were to make that easy for you? You know, your out-of-pocket investment, what if we were able to simplify that part for you? Would that be helpful? Okay. See, the problem is we generally stop short, and when a patient says, will my insurance cover that, or what will my insurance cover, we kind of have a meltdown and go into prioritization mode and say, oh, great, here we go. They only want to do what their insurance covers. Well, guess what? They haven't even said that yet. And by the way, if a patient does say that, if a patient does say, you know what will my insurance cover? Let's start with that. Again, assuming that you have set a great foundation and that you have allowed the patient to come up with a plan based on their goals, their motivation, the things that are important to them, then it's very simple for you to say, hey, absolutely, we can do that. Now, let me ask you this. What about the things you shared with me that are, important to you that, your insurance won't cover at this point in time? Where do you stand? How do you want to deal with those things right now? Or you might say, we can do that. Absolutely, we can do what your insurance will cover. It sounds like you see a benefit in maybe putting off the other things that, you shared with me are important to you. Help me understand, or tell me more about that. Okay. Now, what we're doing is just taking or making an effort to get the real objection out on the table. Because here's the thing, when insurance is brought up, it's one of two reasons. Number one, they're just asking because we've trained them and they just want to know. Number two, it's a money objection. See, that's what we miss. Oftentimes we think this, crazy insurance objection is so mysterious and there's really no way to handle it. And that if a patient is insurance focused, there's nothing we can do about it. Well, guess what? There is. If you have set the proper foundation, and again, if you have given them ownership and you haven't simply told them what you think and imposed your values on them, then chances are they won't say this often anyway. But if they do, it's very simple for you to say, again, absolutely, we can certainly do what insurance will pay for. Now, I know you shared with me earlier that you want to make sure that you don't have any surprises. You wanted to make sure you got the best value, that you saved money long term. And I know you don't like being here. It's no secret. Patients don't like being in the dental chair. So what if we were able to work out to where you could maximize your insurance, take care of the things that you shared were important to you, not have anything else hanging out there, and save you some money and time? What do you think? Is that something that would simplify this for you? Okay. So again, we have to assume the patients want the absolute best because they really do. All right. It's just, they came to you. You didn't drag them off the street. You have to assume they want what's in your store. And you have to assume, even if it's just a cleaning, that there's a motivation behind that cleaning. And asking the proper questions, which again, that could be a whole nother conversation. If we are asking the proper questions to begin with, first of all, you're going to find you won't have near as many of these objections. Second of all, when you do, you at least have the tools and the resources in which to respond instead of just saying, oh, okay, well, let's just prioritize that for you. All right. Here's the other thing too, and I just want to put an exclamation point on. Compliment your patients that have insurance. Let them know. I know in the age of, we won't even go there, the politics and everything else that's gone on with healthcare, patients are frustrated. Okay, they're frustrated. And so help them feel good about that, even though it kind of stinks. That's great news. A lot of patients don't have that benefit. And so you have $1,000 to play with. And we promise you we'll put that to good use and maximize it for you. And the great news is we've got some other resources that can help with the remainder of your investment. Is that what you'd like our help with? Okay. So anyhow, again, just be positive with this. Don't get caught up in thinking that in a negative mindset when patients bring up insurance. Be cheerful, be joyful, be helpful. You are their advocate. You are not an unpaid employee of the insurance company. And I want to make sure that, you are not putting yourself in that position. So I hope this was helpful today. Stay tuned, and I always welcome your questions. I always welcome your topics. Had a suggestion yesterday